True. All right, moving on to our next to last subject of the night. I'm going to say this as a New York Jets fan. Let's get out the button. Let's get it out. Where is it? Where is it? There you are. Homer alert! I'm going full ham because the last 2 days as a New York Jets fan have been arguably the best days we've had in quite a while. Some would argue after week 2 or week 3 against New England last year before the wheels fell off the wagon. I would argue the first 2 days of the 2022 NFL draft when they drafted Sauce Gardner, when they drafted Garrett Wilson, when they drafted Jermaine Johnson, when they traded back into the first round to get Jermaine Johnson, then they traded up, leapfrogging the New York Giants to get Breece Hall. But yesterday, we found out that Garrett Wilson signed his extension with the New York Jets, and they had been talking about it in training camp for not a training camp, but OTAs before this. But breaking news came out yesterday from Adam Schefter. Garrett Wilson signed a 4-year, $130 million extension with the Jets that includes a $90 million guarantee. And according to his tweet, he says it's the first time in NFL history that a receiver has averaged over $31 million after playing only 3 seasons. Then came the news today, and this is about 2:30 this afternoon, and this is a tweet from Ian Rappaport, that the Jets and all-pro, 2-time All-Pro, Sauce Gardner agreed to terms on a 4-year, $120.4 million a year, $120.4 million deal, $85.6 million guaranteed. Now, here's the kicker with these contract extensions. They don't actually start until their rookie deals end after next year. So they're going to keep on their rookie deals they have right now. But in 2027, these salaries kick in. So these are team-friendly deals. These are deals that, in all honesty, these deals should have been made with other players a long time ago. And you could argue that it happened with Quinnen Williams, who signed a big contract extension at the end of his rookie deal. But they never did it with Jamal Adams, as we know, the infamous battle between him and Joe Douglas in 2020. I saw him get shipped to Seattle. All the draft picks that didn't pan out for the New York Jets in the 2010s. It's telling me a couple things, and I talked about this on Total Football Talk on our closing thoughts. There was a sense of, according to this one writer on Jets X Factor, Michael Nania, he said he was wondering, he was kind of opining whether or not there's a lot of fan apathy this offseason with the Jets. And my argument is that no, there's almost a quiet sense of hope with this team because you haven't seen as much drama. All the drama that we thought was going to happened right, I think probably a week into Aaron Glenn's tenure. Mm-hmm. When they flew in Aaron Rodgers and they said, "You're not part of our plans going forward. Thank you, but no thank you." And they let him walk to free agency.
Yep.
That's the only drama we've really had this offseason. And the Jets fans were kind of getting the sense of, okay, well, the next step is to lock up Garrett Wilson and Sauce Gardner long term. And Darren Muji did that. Aaron Glenn did that too. I think what they did with the OTAs is that they wanted to identify who were going to be the pillars of this team. They kept Jamie Sherwood, who played marvelously last year. They identified him as a future pillar of that defense. They identified Garrett Wilson is definitely going to be a guy on the offense who's going to be a pillar going forward among the wide receiver group. And they identified Sauce Gardner was going to be a pillar of that secondary going forward. So this is what you do. This is what good teams do. This is what smart teams do. They identify the pillars, they identify the culture setters of that team, and they pay them like they should. Make them you pay your pillars of the team to let people know we're in this for the long haul. This is going to be a long haul deal. These guys are locked up until about 2030. And by the time that their contracts end, they're all probably going to be in their 30s. I mean, Wilson and Gardner, I think they're 24 and 25. They're both 24 or 25 years old. By the time these deals end, they'll be in their 30s. But the Jets recognize that their best years are still ahead of them. And you look at Garrett Wilson's stats, over 1,000 yards each season he's been in the NFL. He's done it with like 8 quarterbacks.
Yeah,
that's the crazy part, is that he's had 1,000-yard seasons in each of his first 3 seasons in the league with 8 different quarterbacks or 7 different quarterbacks. It's incredible.
Well, and the other thing that me as a non-Jets fan, I don't know as much of your about your team as you do, Ryan, but I would say he got those 1,000 yards last year when it was obvious that he and Aaron Rodgers were not on the same page. There were obvious miscommunication issues at times, and also once Davante Adams got to town, that's who Aaron Rodgers was looking for, as is custom. He loves Davante Adams. He was trying to force the ball to Davante Adams on some clear plays, and I just don't think that the trust was there between Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson. And yet, in spite of that, still he got to his 1,000 yards. So, but you hit the nail on the head. The Jets obviously see something. I think Aaron Glenn is taking a no-nonsense approach to this team and the way he's trying to handle things. And I know that he got reunited with his former quarterback, so that could be big things for Garrett Wilson. Who knows?
Yeah. And you talk about Sauce Gardner, and people say the first 2 seasons making All-Pro, his first 2 seasons were phenomenal. Last year, you could say people could argue that his game dropped off he didn't have the season. His game dropped off a little bit. He didn't have the season that he had his first 2 seasons, and yeah, he openly recognizes that. Had difficulty tackling. People want to see more interceptions. I was actually watching today the Jake Asman show today, and he had a guest from U Stadium who was arguing that Sauce Gardner should not be extended for reasons that he doesn't have any pick sixes. He doesn't have as many interceptions as other corners do. And I said, well, I wouldn't say part of the problem, but I would say that Sauce Gardner is such a threat on whoever he's covering. Quarterbacks just don't throw it his way because they know the receiver's not going to get open. He's going to stick with the receiver on their routes, and they know the pass is going to be defended. So yes, he doesn't have a lot of interceptions. He doesn't have a pick. I hate when people say, "Well, he doesn't have any explosive plays. He doesn't have anything that is worth him getting the payday he does." He actually does a lot more than you think when you look at the stats. I think he doesn't allow a whole lot of yardage to whoever he's covering. I think he's probably had one or two bad games playing the wide receiver 1, and that was last year. And you could argue, I think part of it was the fact that he was battling injuries last year, and his game slipped a little bit because of the scheme that they were in. They weren't necessarily playing to win the game. Their defense was rumored to be designed to hold leads because they thought Aaron Rodgers was going to be this magical being who was going to produce points for them, and it just didn't happen. So yeah, I mean, Sauce Gardner admitted himself, last year wasn't the year that I had, but now you've got a contract. They're going to be in New York long term, and I think it's a good thing. They should, and the fact that they're getting this done now just shows you how little chaos there is surrounding this team in the first 6 months of this regime than there probably has been the last 15 years.
Yeah.
With 3 GMs.
Yeah. And, I'm excited for you because you've been through a lot of bad football seasons over your Jets tenure as of late, and I'm hoping for you that it turns around. And I think you might have found the head coach and GM combination to maybe do it. I mean, who knows? But as far as the Sauce thing, I mean, I'll say it as a Seahawk fan. Yes, Richard Sherman had his interceptions at the peak of the Legion of Boom. He did get some interceptions, but also many other corners, Brendan Browner et al., the people who were on the other side of Richard Sherman got more interceptions because they threw to their side of the field more.
Mm-hmm.
Sherman shut down the field like Revis did before him.
Yep.
That's what happens sometimes. If your number one corner is good enough, they just say, fine, we'll take him out of the game. We won't throw to his side of the field.
Yeah, and you're going to see during the season, oh, this wide receiver who's a wide receiver one, he's having a quiet game. Yeah, because Sauce Gardner's on him the entire time. I mean, in the first 4 weeks of the season for the Jets, they're playing some very good receivers. I mean, week 1, you got DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Week 2 is whoever Josh Allen's number 1 is. I can't remember who it is.
That's changed a little bit. Yeah,
it changes. Week 3, it's going to be Mike. It's going to be Adams, or not Adams.
Who are they playing week 3?
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. It's going to be Mike Evans and
yep.
Godwin. Chris Godwin's back.
It's going to be Mike Evans. Week 4, it's going to be Tyreek Hill. Week 5, it's going to be CeeDee Lamb. Week 6, not Jerry Jeudy. He's with the Browns. But yeah, whoever's going to be on the opposite side. I mean, week 8 is going to be a test because you got two arguably weak wide receiver ones in Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, who both got paid this offseason. So
yeah.
But I'm a New York Jets fan. I'm celebrating today. I'm celebrating based on the fact that in the span of 24 hours, less than 24 hours, both your pillars on offense, one on offense, one on defense, are getting paid, and they're staying right where they are. You're not trading them like you did in the past with like Keyshawn Johnson, John Abraham, Leonard Williams, all those guys from previous regimes. You're not trading them for assets before their value gets too high. You're paying them now, and hopefully, like a good investment, it pays off. It pays off. That's what I'm hoping for.
Hope springs eternal.
It certainly does, and hopefully those wins. The whole wins are many while they're still around.